Welcome to Dad Bod's Crab Cakes and Sports, where husky middle aged men share insight on the latest Baltimore sports news. From the bank to the yard and beyond, we're breaking down the Ravens, Orioles, Terps, and more. Baltimore's best sports podcast starts now. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and whoever else. Jason here with John and Mike. Boys, how was your weekend?
It was
Don't answer all
exciting.
at once, ladies. Don't answer all at once.
Exciting. We're still moving stuff from our apartment to our house. So I spent the weekend putting together furniture and getting my office set up and going to Little League baseball games.
But you sound so excited.
Well, I finally got a ratchet, and putting the rest of the furniture and things together with an Allen wrench on a ratchet made life a million times easier. I still have 3 sections to go on the thing for my patio, but my desk in my office is all set up, so we're good to go.
Mike, what about you there, sunshine?
Well, I had normal middle-aged dad weekend. I cleaned out the garage. That was exciting. And our basketball hoop fell over during a windstorm this winter. So I also got to use my ratchet set to disassemble. I was looking on the internet to try to find ways to repurpose an old basketball hoop. And Julie yelled at me and said, just throw it in the dumpster. So that is how we'll repurpose it. And I already bought the new one. It's sitting in the garage, just taking up space. But one day, probably in 3 weeks, I'll put that together.
Oh, well, that's fabulous. I
How about yourself, Chaser? What'd you do this weekend?
I helped the wife and the son-in-law to be at some point, I'm sure, hang our new 75-inch television in the living room. And the only reason why we have a 75-inch television is because when we were moving, I myself broke my old 80-inch television.
Oh, no.
So, yeah, I didn't want the movers to move it because they would break it. So I decided to break it. It was a great idea.
But it feels better when you break something yourself versus having someone who you ask to move it break it.
I mean, it doesn't feel good at all. I'm just going to be honest. It doesn't feel good. So what happened was I had it on one of those, it was at a storage unit, and I had a storage unit just for the TVs next to my other storage unit, which had all my other stuff from my other house. And I put it on one of those carts, and I'm going through, and I'm watching Cole at the same time, and I'm not paying attention. And I went around a corner, and I bumped into the corner, which it had like metal on it. And like the plastic came off the end. And I was like, oh, okay, that's probably nothing. Well, like a month later, when I move into the other house, I go to turn it on and the whole top is blacked out. I go, son of a biscuit.
Oh, like a line of black or something across the top pixels. Oh man.
Oh yeah. It was a good time.
Well, Jason, at least the movers have insurance so that if they break something like that, they should have insurance to cover it.
Yeah, I mean, but the insurance for like a moving company is really it's like 2 cents on the dollar or something. It's something dumb. Like you're better off just like rolling dice. I mean, the only good news is
Jason, if it makes you feel better, real quick, buddy, the garage thing, I made it sound like I was awesome and I cleaned the garage, but it turns out that when I put up the pegboard in the garage to hang all the things, I did that the wrong way because Julie got out there and started rearranging all the things, and somehow it fit way, way better. And she reminded me about how much better she is than me at spatial awareness. So I understand your pain a little bit. I do.
Oh, I'm terrible at all of this nonsense. But like we're like trying to put a wall mount into this TV or into the wall. I'm like, I don't trust myself at all. Like this is supposed to hold this $600 piece of equipment. Awesome.
Did you find a stud? Did you find a stud is the question.
Not the first time. So we thought we did the first time because this house has some weird thing in the wall. We think there's some like metal covering or something on one part of it. So we're going to put it up, and TJ's like, "Oh no, take it, abort." So like we had to pull the thing down so it doesn't pull the whole goddamn thing onto the ground.
Did you at least make one joke about you being the stud in the room?
It was several actually, to be honest with you.
Okay,
And I
good.
kept going around because I'm like useless when it comes to like putting things together. I kept going around and like zapping people with the stud finder and saying, "I found it."
Well, some of these houses like in Florida, I don't know about Maryland, but like some of them have like one's a wood stud, but then some of the other ones are metal studs. And like I had a friend who did the same thing, Jason, and he had to like cut literally like a 6 foot wide gash in the wall to put wood studs in between the metal studs. And then he had to like redo the entire wall with drywall because it wasn't wood studs to go into, and you obviously can't drill a normal screw into a metal stud.
Oh
So
yeah, it's terrible.
I think there's many people who run into the same problems as you, Jason. But a $600 TV, is that all you spent?
Oh yeah, it wasn't a lot. Like I don't spend a lot of money on TVs. That's the thing. Even the one I broke, I bought like during one of the President's Day specials or Black Friday, and it was like $400 at the time. Like it sucks because it's still a couple $100, but like a lot of my televisions I've had, I bought back when I lived in Maryland. The first time around when I bought a house. So I've had them for like 10, 15 years. And they're lasting. They're all smart TVs still.
The
So,
nice
Yeah.
part is they're less expensive as the more and more the larger TVs are less expensive. I remember when I bought my first big screen TV, it was when I first got my job in 2005. And it was like, I want to say it was 4 or 5 inches thick from the front to the back. And it was like an Ambilight or something. It had these color like edges around it. It was like $1,500 for a 42-inch TV, I believe it was. It's crazy. And then, you could probably find that same TV for a couple $100 now, which is awesome.
yeah. I mean, that was mine when I was doing all the bartending back in like 2005. Like as soon as I graduated, I was doing, I had money, a couple extra bucks. So I'm like, I should buy a television. And I bought a Sony at the time. And that thing was like $1,500. And it came with a PlayStation at the time. I don't remember if it was PlayStation 2 or PlayStation 3, whatever it was, but it came with all of that at the time. So I was like, oh, sweet.
Well,
But I
at
had
that
it
time,
on like a payment plan too.
Yeah, right.
well, at that time, remember, like the PlayStations were about the same price as a DVD player, and they did the same exact thing, except the PlayStation you could also play games on. So it made more sense to buy the PlayStation because you could use it for multiple functions.
And the nice thing is that the older we get, the more affordable a larger TV is, and I have trouble seeing more and more, so I need the bigger TV so I can read like the scroll on the bottom of ESPN News or ESPN because I can't see that stuff anymore. So thank the good Lord for the evolution of the television.
Oh yeah, and I'm telling you, I feel like I'm in a movie theater. I'm like this, I'm like looking up, staring at it. I'm like, oh, this is okay, sure, all right.
I'll tell you, the only thing I miss about Minnesota is in our basement we had, I think it was a 165-inch projector with a screen with stadium seating in the basement.
Oh, that's nice.
That's the only thing I miss about Minnesota. It was cold.
Wow.
It was, but when you can't go outside for 8, 9, 10 months out of the year, got to have something to do. Playing video games on that thing was, oh my goodness, you thought you were in the game.
Man, I think I would take up drinking as a sport if I lived in Minnesota.
Yeah, probably. That's why a lot of guys will brew during the summer, so that in the winter they're kind of like bears. They can hibernate with their liquor and their beer, whatever they've chosen to distill or brew in their garage during the summer.
Oh, fabulous. Well, since again we have chased away our 2 or 3 listeners that we did have, I guess we should start talking about somebody who had a much better weekend than I did. Apparently, putting TVs together. The grade 8, Alex Ovechkin, passed Wayne Gretzky for the all-time goal scoring list. He got his 895th goal today, Mike.
That's a lot of goals, Jason. I think the funniest part with Ovechkin, and we follow the Caps, I guess, in Baltimore. I don't know if you guys follow the Caps, but they're the closest local hockey team here. So I guess I, by proxy, vote for them and root for them. I did get to go to one of the playoff games when they won the Stanley Cup final, a while back, a couple years back. But Cecilia calls him Ovchicken because she read the back of his jersey wrong, which is one of my favorite things about Ovechkin. But he just a man's hockey player, just brute force, taking slap shots from anywhere, just dangerous all over the place. Doesn't mind mixing it up, hitting people, and I guess just kind of cool to see something like this happen live. So.
Oh, it's so funny. I mean, I don't know, John, if you remember back in the day, everyone compared Ovechkin and Sidney Crosby because those were the two hottest players at the time. And I just remember it's like, to me, you can't compare them because they're two completely different players. You have one finesse style player like, like Crosby, which reminds me more of a Gretzky type player. And then you have Ovechkin who gets his nose dirty, does everything on the ice that you're supposed to, and also scores a crap ton of goals.
Right. And as I was doing some research kind of down the line, still not to kill anybody's thunder, but I still think that, the way that Gretzky played the game versus the way that Ovechkin plays and even Crosby plays, again, it's the talk about, okay, it's like the basketball comparison between Jordan and LeBron. They play in two different eras, two different styles, everything is completely different, but it is still a huge accomplishment. I mean, Ovechkin has led the league 9 times in goals. And you want to know the funniest thing about all of this is Ovechkin scored it in the same exact number of games as Gretzky.
See, now that makes me feel a lot better about when you have awards out there and different records to break. It's tough with football now because you play more games than they played before. It's tough with baseball when you go back to the old time eras because they play more games. But if you're getting in the same exact time, to me, that's what he's 1 goal ahead then on pace, and
Yes.
I don't think he's going to hang it up. So he's going to add to this.
But then here's my question for you guys then is this. Gretzky, I have right in front of me here. Gretzky has 2,857 points during that same stretch. Ovechkin only had 1,619. So Gretzky has over 1,200 more assists than Ovechkin does in that same period.
Well, didn't they play different positions? Was Gretzky a center?
Yes.
Yeah, and Ovechkin's a wing.
He's a winger, yeah.
Right.
So you got one guy that has the puck a lot more technically if you're in the middle of the ice more, right? Then you have another guy that's out wide or whatnot. To me, it makes sense. Gretzky is my all-time favorite hockey player. I think he's the most complete hockey player. But Ovechkin, as far as the goal scoring, you're not going to take it away from him. I mean, Mike, it's pretty exciting because we don't have a hockey team, like you said, as a Baltimore sports fan. So we kind of adopted the Capitals over the years. And to me, when they won the Stanley Cup, it just solidifies. I mean, he was going to the Hall of Fame anyway. It didn't make a difference, but for him to win that to me was huge. It was almost like it was all worth it.
Yeah, and I think at the time it was, like you said, the comparisons with Crosby, and Crosby got his title, and it was one of those things. It was kind of like the Lamar and Pat Mahomes and Josh Allen, and it's one of those things that just really cemented his legacy, kind of like with Peyton Manning, where it cemented his legacy when he won that first title. And that's kind of what it was like with Ovechkin. I think the impressive part is he was born in '85, right? So, John, is he older or younger than you?
He's older than me. He's 3 years older. He's 3 years older than me.
Which means, imagine putting skates on right now and going out and scoring 42 goals. That's ridiculous. If I tried to go ice skating right now, I would fall over immediately. I wouldn't even make it onto the ice. And so, the impressive part is it's such a physical sport to be able to balance and to stay healthy, and you're blocking shots and getting your teeth knocked out, and it's just the toll it takes on your body day after day. We talk about baseball players playing into their 40s or football players, but look at hockey players. And then to score 42 goals in your age 39 season, that's pretty daggone impressive.
Yeah, I mean, even that, just to kind of focus on the Caps for a second. I mean, they're in first place in the Metropolitan Division, and looks like they have more points than anyone in the entire Eastern Conference. So they're sitting there. It looks like potentially the number one seed. I haven't admittedly, I haven't focused on them as much as I wanted to. I've caught a couple games here and there. But I mean, to me, it's like in the past, they've killed it in the regular season. And then all of a sudden they get to the playoffs and what happens? So I don't know, John. I don't know how much you're paying attention or if they have a shot, but to me, I don't know if this team is as capable as the others to make a run in that playoff.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't follow the Caps that much. I mean, they're not on TV here often unless they're playing the Lightning or something like that. So I'm sorry to say, I don't have a lot to say about that. I mean, it's hard, especially when you're following basketball and everything and football for a majority of the season and stuff to kind of stay in three sports at the same time.
Okay, well, you go sit in the corner for a minute and let the adults talk, and I'll let you know when we're done. Okay,
that's great. That's great.
All right, Mike, your turn.
My favorite new Cap is Pierre-Luc Dubois.
Ooh.
Playmaker in the middle, man. He is quick. He's great with his stick skills, and he really distributes the puck well. And I think Tom Wilson has been, excellent this year. He's had a 30-goal season, later in his career, and he's always been that enforcer for the Caps. So they still have that. Dylan Strome's been a nice addition. They've kind of pieced this thing together with some younger players and some pickups in free agency. And it's just kind of cool how everything kind of clicked. I didn't expect it as a Caps fan coming into the season necessarily because they had kind of been in a lull, kind of flattened out after Ovechkin kind of has declined a little bit over the last couple of years. But he really has taken off this season, and so has the Caps. So really awesome to watch. I think, at this point in Ovechkin's career, he's got his title. Maybe he can have one of those Ray Lewis type runs, right, where you kind of roll into the sunset and maybe take a Stanley Cup title with you on top of it. And I thought maybe they'd get a President's Trophy this year, but they really haven't played well over the last handful of games, and that might be out of reach at this point, but we'll see.
Yeah, well, I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing Ovechkin grab one more trip around the sun if he can. But I mean, time will tell. We'll see what happens. So I guess we got to talk about these crazy Final Four games the other night. So did you guys have a chance to catch those? And holy mackerel! I mean, we can. Did y'all stay up for the ending of the Duke Houston game?
No, I fell asleep. I had the game on, and I fell asleep, and I guess my wife turned the game off.
All right. So let me tell you what Daddy did. So Daddy earlier in the day put a couple shekels down on a parlay that Florida and Houston would win. And so I get through the Florida game. I'm like, okay, yeah, it's fine. It was a close game, but that's kind of what I thought would happen. And then the Duke game happens, and I'm watching it, and I'm like, all right, well, I mean, it was only a couple bucks to win 100. This is fine, no big deal. And then I'm sitting there playing on my phone, and I pass out for a second. And this is like with 6 minutes left. I wake up with like a minute 30, and the dude hits a three-pointer. They inbound the ball. He steals it. And then I'm like, oh, this just got really interesting. Now who do I cheer for? I'm like, I guess I have to because like both my teams are now in the finals. I know each one of you guys still have Houston alive. I mean, I think it sets things up pretty good there, John. I think you still have a shot to win in our bracket if Houston wins, which is stupid because you didn't pick the Final Four team, so you shouldn't win. Well,
I picked three of the four. All of us, I think, picked three of the four, and then you're the only one who picked all four of them. But I watched the replays. I read some of the analyses and stuff like that, and it's just it's just like Duke just melted down, and Houston just they put the pedal to the metal at the right time, and like they say, it ain't over till the fat lady sings, and fat lady wasn't singing till the buzzer went off.
It's funny because like when we did our much too early predictions for the national championship, Mike picked Florida and I picked Duke, and we kind of flip-flopped because in the tournament I picked Florida, and I know you have Houston, Mike. So I mean, I think things are set up for an awesome national championship game. I don't know how you feel.
Yeah. Either way, I picked them both at some point. So there you go. No, I'm feeling great. No, I wish I would have stayed up to watch it. When I went to bed, I think it was about 6 minutes left, and I just checked my phone real quick to see what the score was. And I think they were up by 10, maybe at that point. So I figured game over. I wake up and I look at the score. I'm like, holy cow! I look through my phone. I'm trying to watch the last minute and a half on replay. So Jason, maybe you can take me through it. It looked like there was a over the back on a free throw. That was a costly mistake by Duke. Can you take me through that?
Yeah. So the ball, they missed a free throw, and then Cooper Flag. They let the referee. I actually thought it was a really well officiated game for the most part. They were letting a lot of bumping and a lot of like nothing crazy, but like they were letting them play, right? And then at the end there, Cooper Flag, if you watch the replay, the ball went up and he grabbed it. He just reached over the guy and grabbed it. There was no contact. But the way that the other guy went into him, it looked like there was contact initiated by Cooper Flag. And then it sent Houston to the line for a 1-and-1. And to me, it was crazy. I was like, oh no. Like,
and that was at a pivotal point in the game. That was very end of the game, right? That was like
it was
1 point game or something.
Yeah, but then Cooper Flag had a shot. Like they ran a play for him. He had a fadeaway at the top of the key, like at the foul line. It was a real good look, and he just left it short. He like short armed it just a little bit. I don't know if he thought he couldn't follow through, but he was above the other guy, and the other guy was the dude that hit the 2 free throws, the big center for Houston. I can't remember his name. But yeah,
no Christian Laettner jump shot from the foul line, huh?
Yeah, he had it. So I won a bunch of money too on some other pools if Florida ends up winning because I've picked them in every one of my brackets that I've been in. But Houston to me seems like that team of destiny right now. I mean, you win the close games. You took care of Tennessee before that. I mean, Mike, I don't know what momentum like that can do for a team, but to me, it makes me very scared as someone who picked the Gators.
Yeah, I mean, coming off that game, they have got to be on cloud 9. So I don't know. Florida had a couple games like that during the tournament, not the last game. So I don't know if you can pick either team as a team of destiny. I think you're just going to see a fantastic basketball game. Is that Monday night? I don't know. Is that fantastic basketball?
Yeah, it's Monday.
So I'm really excited to have. Oh, awesome. Something to watch on a Monday night this time of year is super exciting too. So especially if we're not talking about Orioles baseball right now.
Well, okay. So so are you guys still going with your Houston picks or you guys want to switch it up and jump on the Florida wagon with Daddy?
Nope. I'm sticking with Houston all the way through because Houston wins and I win our pool. And
Michael?
that's
I slam a jamma, baby.
That's a little different. Yeah. Oh, well, see, look, you can flip back and forth between the national championship game and the O's in Arizona tomorrow night.
Well, Mike, you have Fubo, so you can watch one on your phone or tablet or computer and one on the other thing. Well, and I have that, whatever it's called from Spectrum, Jason, the Zumo or something, Zumo, so I can watch one on the TV and one on my tablet. Or
that's the thing you tickle. It's that red thing, and it goes, and the kids love it, right?
Yeah. Hey, isn't
Something like
that toy your father? Didn't your father wait in line one Christmas and get like 50 of those things? Oh, Furby.
Furby. Yes, I think we were at Montgomery Ward's getting a table and chairs or something. And he's like, there's a line. And he asked these people, what's this line for? And I was with him. And they're like, Furbies. And they're like, it's the next big toy. So he went and bought, I don't know, whatever the maximum was, 2 or 3. I don't even know what he spent. But I think he sold them for like $150 or $200 a piece.
Oh, yeah.
And now you can find them at Goodwill for $1.
Oh. Right.
Capitalism at its finest.
No, it's perfect. I love it. Well, we digress. However, I am going to stick with the Gators. So I'm going to do this little chomping action thing here.
Yes.
And because I like money and I would like to win. So we're going to go with that. Now, speaking of money, the Buzz Williams has been kind of busy here right out the gates, huh? brings over a couple of his boys from Texas A&M. It looks like the Terps right now, they have 3 guys that they got from the transfer portal. I'm pretty sure that's their entire roster. I'm not being funny. I think that is their entire roster right now. Or those?
I think so. Here's my question for you, Jason. After I'm reading this and seeing this, are they going to hold like an open tryout? Because I think it was Texas. Was it Texas A&M? I think whose women's team had to have an open tryout because they had so many players on the injured and COVID list or something that they didn't have enough players. So they had like an open tryout, and they ended up finding some like good players who are now or were on scholarship.
Yeah, I mean, in all honesty, any student that goes to the University of Maryland is welcome to try out for the team. It's just, I mean, that's how they ended up with it. Would they end up with Earl Badu the one year, Mike? Juan Dixon?
Yeah. Yep. He had dreads one year and he had like no hair the next year.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, so far, they the newest addition from the University of Indiana transfer, he is a combo guard, Miles Rice. They also, as John said, I believe last week, they did get Farrell Payne and Solomon Washington from Texas A&M. Both those guys are forwards.
Better than a feral cat.
Right.
That's all. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about. Like a cat, like stubbing his toe while he's digging through a trash can. That sounds like Farrell Payne.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I don't know how you do this though as a coach. Like if you say, "Hey guys, I'm going to Maryland," it's like if any of you, you're all welcome. Whoever wants to transfer, and then they come over, or if you hand pick certain guys. And if he's hand picking these guys, I mean, there's a reason for it. And I got nothing else to do, so I'm going to buy into the Buzz Williams situation, and I'm gonna put all my trust in him.
Yeah, I mean, it's a wait and see approach. You got to see what he's going to put together. It was interesting. I saw, a video about Buzz and how he spends about, you said this before, Jason, 5 or 6 years at a school, and then he kind of goes. But it's kind of like he understands that he's building to a point, and then at some point it might have to come back down again a notch, and he just gets out of there and he starts building somewhere else. So the one thing he has shown is over the course of time, he knows how to build up to a point. So let's give him a chance. Let him get some pieces of the puzzle in. I'm curious what he's going to do with some big men. Yeah, let him get at least 5 people on the roster before we start analyzing too much, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, and the more I looked into this and I started listening, so a lot of those Maryland followers, the 24/7 Terps folks, Jeff Erman and the rest of them, I mean, they speak very, very highly of him, and the national guys speak very highly of him. I mean, when he was in the ACC, he knocked off and took Duke and Carolina every year to the wire. I mean, those are Gary type things. It's even Turgeon competed well with them for a while. Like it was, if you can come in here right away, grab the fan base, like right away, I'm telling you, those kids at the University of Maryland are going to love him because he's not Kevin Willard right now. And they're so mad that they needed after that. They'll cheer for anybody. I mean, you could put Grimace out there and they cheer for him. But no, John,
McDonald's is awesome. That's why it's amazing. The French fries.
Oh my gosh. I dressed up like Grimace for and play in the Ronald McDonald shows at those McDonald's that they did for the Ronald McDonald House. It's my job when I was 15 years old. Him and Hamburger.
That's awesome.
That was a good time, let me tell you. All right. Well, John, you what do you have to add? I mean, what do you think? I mean, are we in the right path? Where are we going here?
I think we are. I think that as I've read more about him, and like I said, I saw him at Marquette. I went to a number of Marquette games. I had a friend who worked for Fox Sports North or Fox Sports Wisconsin, excuse me. But we went to several games and watched, and I think and this was when he was there, so 2008 to 2011, something like that. But I think it's the more I see and the more I read, I think it's a good fit. I think he's going to bring energy into the program, bringing some guys with him who have experience in the NCAA tournament, playing in the SEC, all of those sorts of things I think will translate over very, very well for the Big Ten. And then hopefully, once he can start getting a recruiting class in and seeing what he's doing there, then in a year, 2 years, we can start getting a couple more guys in who, even if we keep them for a year like a Queen, maybe can get us over that hump, win the Big Ten, get a high seed in the tournament, and then, roll from there.
So that's an interesting. You mentioned recruiting, and I think you're more along the lines talking about recruiting class going forward. Mike, what I want to know is it what is still available in the recruiting now? I haven't had a chance to really look at it. I don't know if you. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but like, has recruiting closed? I mean, is there some kids still out there? Can we make any noise there? And then also continue on the transfer portal.
Yeah, I haven't researched deep into what we have in the current recruiting class, but I think one thing you have to remember with missing, we miss Will. We're going to miss Willard and what he had built here, right? But Buzz was building something for next year at Texas A&M, so I assume he knows who's out there. He knows who's available. It's just a matter of can he convince those players that he thought were those recruits he wanted to come to Texas A&M to come up here to Maryland, and it's a different. I guess it's a different sales pitch, right? To be down in Texas versus to be up here in the Mid-Atlantic. But if it's about basketball, it's the same coach. And a lot of those guys fall in love with somebody because of the coach. I was listening to an interview with Jay Billis talking about when Coach K recruited him and how he just fell in love with Coach K. And he wasn't really looking for a school. He was just looking for a coach at that point to find a coach that fit his personality. So I think some of the younger guys understand that, especially now that loyalty to a school isn't quite what it used to be. They're looking for a coach that matches up with what they want personality wise and maybe scheme wise, what fits their game, and then they'll follow that coach. So if there are people that Buzz Williams was already hot on or on the recruiting trail with, maybe he can get those guys up here in Maryland.
Yeah, and I think that obviously he'll have a fresh slate going forward here. I mean, but theoretically, like before NIL, like coaches were recruiting kids, I mean, 8th grade and on, right? Like they had their eyes on who they wanted back in middle school. So I don't know. Things have obviously changed because money talks. But once he gets out there and gets a full season of that, I think we'll be very pleased. I mean, the Big Ten really, like, nothing scares me in the Big Ten besides Tom Izzo. I mean, it looks like the University of Michigan out there, they're Dusty May's building something that could be very exciting for them. But other than that, I mean, I don't have like Wisconsin's always solid. But like the fear of God isn't in me. Like if it was Duke and North Carolina with the ACC. So I mean, we'll see. Time will tell. Again, I keep saying that about everything, but.
Hey, Jason, did you see that Derek Queen also declared basically for the draft on the Scott Van Pelt show?
I did. I just didn't think it was that important to talk about because everybody knew he was going to do it anyway. Like, he really had no reason to come back. Like, all you're doing is risking your career if you get injured. It's just at that point, go ahead. Now, personally, I do not think he is going to be impactful 1 or 2 years into the NBA. I think he has to work on a couple things. I think he's too slow for the NBA right now. But if once they get to work with him, spend some time in the G League, does that whole thing, I think things will work out very well for him. But as far as a college basketball player, if he would have stayed, I mean, he could have gone down as one of the best for each and every year. But me personally, Mike, I don't think I wasn't surprised. I'm not happy about it, but I'm not surprised. What about you, John?
I'm not surprised either. Not too much to talk about there, but I just wanted to mention to our audience that he was no longer there. Since you said we had like 2 people or 3 people at the University of Maryland, he's not one of them.
It's true.
Our one hard commit, Chris Jeffrey, has now been released from his national letter of intent and is following Willard to Villanova. So we have 0, according to what I just pulled up on my second screen here. We have 0 incoming freshmen right now.
Well, like I said, I believe there's still some time for that. And we'll see. I mean, you might be able to flip some other people. I mean, there were a bunch of coaches out there that took jobs at other places that might change their mind now and want to flip somewhere else. So give it a couple weeks, you might see some things change, especially after the national championship game. So now on a somber note, I guess we have to talk about the weekend that was the Baltimore Orioles situation and how they played baseball. I guess that's really all I could say. Saturday was all right, but Friday and Sunday they took the L's. And then again, it wasn't an overall. I got some concerns. I don't know how you got. I know it's early, but I have a couple concerns. So, and number one is Jorge Mateo. And we talked about this last week, but that man does not have any business playing center field. I mean, 2 misplaced balls today. I guess they're giving him the benefit of the doubt on the second one, but like as a former outfielder, I mean, you got to catch those balls, dude. Just catch them. They're right there. Like, and he cost them that first inning. Should never have happened. They should have been out of that inning. Get Bobby wet. Next batter would have rolled over, and that would have been it. But yeah, to me, that was a big one. I know, Mike, you were very upset Friday night with the playing in the field.
I have a quote here that I found online from Bill Ripken on MLB Network. It says, "You can show me every metric, every number, every thought process that goes into it. You cannot put your best defensive team on the field by having rotating pieces constantly." And that is what the Orioles are doing right now. And it's awful. And the issue I had, obviously, Spanish George out there in center field doesn't make much sense. But when you have the corner outfielders that we had on Friday night, when you have Heston Kjerstad playing left and Tyler O'Neill playing right, we can never do that again. I just don't understand. We can't have guys who lack the instincts to play outfield in both corner spots. It just in the same game. You might get away with one of those guys in your outfield, but you can't play both of those guys in the corners. There's not enough. We're missing Cowser big time right now defensively. Laureano is probably a better defender. Carlson's probably a better defender who you sent back down again. That gets to your point, Jason, where you talk about Mateo. Maybe it's time for Jorge to find the next bus elsewhere and to bring up Carlson so we have a more solid defensive outfielder to kind of plug and play in those situations. John, what are your thoughts on the O's outfield defense?
Same thing. I mean, I was watching the game as I was unloading boxes, and I'm like, how did he miss that? Like, that triple should have never happened. And unfortunately, like right now, it looks like Mullins is going to have to play every day and not get a day off until we can figure something else out. Because Mateo, we talked about this I think we talked about it on Wednesday. Mateo should have been the guy cut, and we could have got him probably down to AAA like we talked about. But I would much rather see Carlson, a true outfielder, out there than Mateo running around like a chicken with his head cut off, his head stuck up somebody's rear end, and he's not. I mean, that ball could have been caught by a high school center fielder in his second day of practice.
This is the second game that I've seen him cost them essentially the game. If you guys remember last year, he played center field. This year, last year, year before, but I thought it was last year against the Dodgers at Camden Yards, and he had one back towards the wall. And as he got towards the wall, not being used to it out there, it looks like he just saw the wall and the ball kind of fell between him and the wall. And that type of, it just doesn't belong out there. But now here's the issue. As I listen to you guys talk, they cannot put him back out there. However, the alternative, Mike, is the one you're not going to like. It's Heston Kjerstad and Tyler O'Neill out there. And I don't, because you didn't bring back Santander and you didn't go out and get anybody else, because Laureano cannot play every day. You want to play him against left-handers, that's fine. But guess what? They're playing their next 5 or 6 games are against right-handed pitchers. So I don't see him getting in every one of those games, maybe a couple. But Heston Kjerstad and O'Neill, I mean, they're going to have to go out there, and it's not pretty. But what's the alternative? None of those minor leaguers are ready. Like, yeah, you could throw. I mean, who's the young guy that's?
I'd rather see Ryan O'Hearn out there than Heston Kjerstad.
That's a possible. Now you know what? Now you're talking. But I don't like that either. If you'd rather have him than Heston Kjerstad, I actually think Heston Kjerstad's underrated. But I don't know what his best position is. Is it right field or left field?
DH. DH is his best position.
Right.
Well, and the thing is, this is just because Mateo is fast doesn't mean that he can field a fly ball. Like, if you watch the video of him, he clearly doesn't understand that of how to play center field. Like, it's not just like, playing shortstop or playing infield is much, as we all know, is much different than playing outfield, because outfield, you have to be able to adjust going forwards and backwards for ground balls, fly balls, line drives, over your head, in front of you. And he just doesn't seem to know what he's doing. If you look, his first step is almost in, and the outfield, your first step is always backwards. Always backwards. And I just don't think they can afford this. And again, we're not in that front office, but man, they should have kept Carlson up there and, designated for assignment.
Well, the idea is that you have an athlete and you think that because he's so athletic that he can do that and he can transition into that position. However, it's just like him missing the entire spring except for a handful of games doesn't help, right? And the idea was that, Cowser wasn't going down, so there wasn't going to be a problem. Well, now that he got hurt, now you have a situation. And like I said, besides Carlson, and you got to wait 10 days to bring him up, I believe, from when they sent him back down. So you can't do that right away. And I don't know the next one. I'm telling you, it's not pretty. Like, Dylan Beavers cannot come up and hit right now in the majors. It can't be. And I'm sorry, who's the young stud first rounder from a couple years ago? The center fielder.
Judd Fabian.
Well, not the guy I was thinking of, but Judd Fabian.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Judd Fabian has a 40% whiff rate.
Enrique Bradfield
could come up and would be your best defender in the outfield. However, that's not a good idea. Let him stay down there. We're not ready for that yet. Maybe come July or August, something happens. You want to do that? By all means. It's like a Manny type thing, but he's not Manny Machado. So to me, it's that I'm not ready to jump off a bridge, but I am concerned, and I don't know how they're going to fix the outfield situation. So I'm ready. I'm ready to listen to whoever wants to offer anything up. But I don't know.
When you don't have something, you go get it. If you think you're a contender, that's how you're supposed to operate, right? Or do you just let it ride until Cowser comes back and hope that you're not 10 games out of first place by that point? If we don't have the pitching staff to play the outfield defense that we're playing right now, that is going to cost them way too many games. And if we're just saying in general, the defense hasn't been fantastic. Gunnar booted one. Obviously, he's just coming back. But defense can't be costing us games when we don't have a pitching staff that's going to hold people down. And even in the years when, like 2012, when we didn't have a great pitching staff, our defense was stellar, and it kept us in a lot of baseball games. So having, a not very strong outfield defense is going to be a major issue for this team. And John, to your point, infielders and outfielders are a different breed. Jason, we could talk to that in high school, right? I could play infield, but you put me in the outfield, I felt like a lost soul out there. I could track a couple, but there's instincts involved with both of those places that players may have the physical makeup to physically do the things, but mentally it's a different ball game. So, and like you said, you made a great point when you said that Mateo didn't really have a spring training. So to not play those people and have that muscle memory ingrained in you and then expect him to go out to center field of all things in the third series of the year when you're looking to get to the 500 mark didn't make a lot of sense. And I think a lot of people are calling Brandon Hyde down on that right now, especially with all the lineup stuff going on. My personal take on the lineup is leadoff wise. I'd like to see Westberg at the top of the lineup. I think he can get on base for you. Or at this point, the only other option to me is Jackson Holliday's hitting well. Why don't put him up there while he's hitting well? Don't wait until he's not hitting well and then try to jam him in there maybe later in the season.
When you do leadoff, you are going to see, it's where you see a lot of fastballs, especially early on in the game, whatnot. After that, it is what it is. That's why you try to get, like, the new theory in baseball is you want your best hitter to get as many at bats as possible. So now you bat him leadoff. The Jackson Holiday thing, I do think that is their goal eventually. So this might fast track that. It's, what I was sitting there thinking, John, why don't I let you get your thought in? Cause I know you look like you want to say something real quick, but then I have an idea of someone they could possibly bring in that could potentially fix all this.
Here's a couple things. Is I don't understand why you're batting Sanchez DH today. I don't know why, with the way Mullins has been swinging the bat, or O'Hearn, or some not getting them in the line. I mean, I get it if you're facing a left-hander, but I mean, Sanchez goes down. He's 0 for 3 with 2 Ks. He's hitting .077 with a 133 on base percentage, where Mullins is hitting over 300. So I don't know why you're not having him out there as a designated hitter, at least getting him in the at-bats. And then to our pitching, and they mentioned this on the broadcast several times today. In high school base, like you guys, you played in college, Jason, right? Yes.
No, I got
hurt. Oh, you did. Okay. So, like in high school, get it over the plate. You have some movement. You have some things going on. But once you get into college, once you get higher, it's not about throwing strikes anymore. It's about throwing good strikes, and it's about throwing bad strikes. And Povich today was throwing bad strikes, and he didn't have movement on the ball, and they were hitting him. And they mentioned this on the broadcast several times. I don't know. Did you guys watch the game or listen to it on radio? You know, they mentioned that several times over and over again, that Povich was throwing bad strikes. And, you know, that's gonna kill us as well, because you throw bad strikes to hit the ball. You have you have a good defense behind you, 100% healthy, 100%, ready to go. You're good. But when your center fielders maybe in the top 1% or the bottom, 1% of center fielders, and you're throwing bad strikes and they're pounding the ball, you're in deep, deep trouble, and you can't come back from that.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I do think one of the things that happened once that error happened, and I guess they didn't call it an error, they called it a triple, which is horse crap, but they called it a triple. He couldn't. It was like then there was a play with Urias that Mountcastle couldn't scoop on a tough play. Like he started unwinding and unraveling because of some things that happened. And you know what? That's what young pitchers go through. So I have no desire at all to put this one on Povich. I'm really not. He's out there battling, trying to do what he can, and he's not getting a whole lot of help elsewhere. But I will tell you, one of my biggest issues with the whole thing today, and I text Mike about it, was this lineup. And like you said, John, now I don't know if the idea was give some of these guys a rest before they go out west and face all these righties. So give some of the lefties a rest. But Bubic is a reverse split guy. So the lefties shouldn't have all been on the bench, especially Mullins, especially Kersad, who hits lefties. Holiday's been red hot. Why is he on the bench? All to get Mateo in there, who hits lefties well, but he's not a left-handed pitcher. This dude, when you see a reverse split, he's a right-handed pitcher now. So your guys that do well against righties, which doesn't, by the way, include Urias. He does not hit left-handed pitching very well.
He's not my Rias. He's your Rias. He's not.
He's somebody's Rias.
He's your Rias, not mine.
So
don't put that on me, Ricky Bobby. Don't you put that on me.
So no, I mean, I was okay with some of those guys. Like you just can't sit them all, especially the guys that Mullins and Holiday are two baddest hitters right now, besides Mountcastle. So, and O'Hearn should have been in there. The only thing I could think of too is that maybe the delivery from a left-handed hitter can play up with some of these guys in their head after a while. You're not seeing the ball right, even though you're a reverse split guy. The batter still has to hit the ball. So it might not work out really well. But the one thing I did want to mention was, Mike, you talked about possibly getting someone from the outside. I got the perfect idea. So you have like Judd Fabian, Dylan Beavers down there, and you have one young pitcher, maybe a McDermott. Yeah, I think he's hurt though, so I don't know if anyone would be interested. Or some of the other minor league guys, and go get Luis Robert from Chicago. He's hitting very low average right now. Perfect, ripe for the pickings, as they say. So go grab him, throw him out there in the outfield. Like, put him in left field. I know he's a center fielder. See if he'd be cool with playing one of the other positions, because defense wins championships. So go out there, help out your pitchers, and get a guy like that. It's kind of a bold move, but I don't think it would cost you that much, Mike, to do it now that it would if they waited on it.
I'm okay with being proactive. I think that's one team. This one thing this team has not done well is be proactive. I think they have belief in their guys almost to a fault. I would say at points in time, and I would love to see them go out and get a Luis Robert. I think it's an outstanding idea. I mean, maybe Brandon is it Brandon Young, who pitched really well, who's been striking some people out down there in AAA. Maybe he's a piece you can move and get one of those guys. Again, pitching isn't quite a strength to trade from. That's the hard part because we don't have a ton of pitching down in the minors right now, ready to come up. But maybe that's something you have to do to solidify your outfield right now. I think the biggest thing I have, and the issue, Jason, you kind of mentioned with Brandon Hyde, he doesn't ever really seem to manage with feel. Like you got to know who's hot and who's not, and you got to kind of. I know that we use the analytics, and I think he can't abandon that altogether, obviously. And I don't think there's any way Mike Elias would let him, abandon that. But I think you also have to have some feel in your managing. Sed's been on fire. Holiday's hot. Let some of these guys hit for a couple days and then give them a break when they cool off a little bit and get these other guys in the lineup. And I understand, like you said, Jason, there's reverse splits. There's guys who are, normal lefty kind of thing, but you got to play with some feel too.
No, I agree. That's a very, very good point. I mean, it can't be all analytics. It can't be all feel. I mean, it has to be, you have to go on the numbers. You have to go, whether they're analytical numbers or whether they're old style baseball numbers. You got to go with your gut. You got to go with all of that. It's not one thing or the other. It's a combination of all of it. John, did you want to add anything on to the Luis Robert or anyone you see out there that we should grab onto?
I mean, I'm looking at the Luis Robert, and he plays great defense in the highlights and some of the things that I've seen. But again, he's a high strikeout guy. He's in 28 at bats. He struck out 10 times. So, are we going to trade for him because he's got a bat, or are we going to trade for him because he's going to improve that defense with him and Cedric out there? And then once we get Cowser back, because Cowser's probably average to above average in the field. So do you want to put 3 above average, and Cedric Mullins is still probably in the top tier, I would say, of center fielders. Do you want to put a better defensive outfield together like that? Because when our infield is healthy, our infield is top notch in the major leagues, but our outfield is where we have troubles.
I think if you put Luis Robert on a team where he's protected with better hitters, you'll see what he did a few years back. I think he hit 30-plus home runs, batted almost 300 or so, drove in close to 100 or more his all-star year. I mean, he's in my eyes, he was a fringe MVP guy. That's when La Russa was managing the White Sox. He's ready to take off as far as I know. But right now, there's no one else in that lineup that they have to worry about. So they're just, why would they give him anything to hit? Make him chase cars.
Yeah, I agree, Jason. And the thing I'm thinking is the first couple games when Cowser was healthy, I'm thinking in the back of my head, Mateo and O'Hearn got to get off this team sometime soon. O'Hearn is very redundant to me. I know he's your left-handed hitting first baseman, but Samuel Basayo's down there. I would like to see some of these guys come up. And what the Cowser injury does is it just pushes everything down the road, because now you've got to wait and see if he comes back from that injury, and you're going to keep some of these guys around longer. Maybe it's good, maybe it's bad, but for me, I'm concerned it's just kind of pushing the timetable down the road, and we're just kind of putting a Band-Aid on a bullet hole.
Yeah, and though, the reason why I mentioned that trade though was just because I don't think anyone's ready to start moving anything crazy yet. And why not take advantage of what's going on? There's not a lot of teams that are ready to move one way or another, but that Chicago would be willing to move it for the right deal. And if you give them a young outfielder and a pitcher, and then maybe somebody else lower in the organization, that's fine. They need that. They need these guys that are ready, because Luis Robert's not in their future plans. So to me, jump on it before it becomes an issue. and then see what happens. But you're right, Mike. Like I start to worry because the outfield, all of a sudden, which was a position of strength to me, is starting to look a little bleak. So, all right. So moving on, we're going to do our position group with the Baltimore Ravens, and tonight we are going to do the tight ends. So, one of the biggest positions of strength with the Baltimore Ravens is our tight end group. Right off the bat, Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely, and Kohler. And it's the one piece of news that I did see out there was the Cardinals giving a big extension to their big tight end. Oh man, what's his name?
Trey McBride.
Trey McBride. So that makes somebody. I was listening to the Ravens Locked On Ravens podcast, and they were trying to make the argument that makes Likely a lot more expensive. I don't think those two are on the same wavelengths really with what they do. So I think those contracts are completely separate. But I think Likely will make a lot of money whether he stays with the Ravens or not. But in comparison, Mike, I mean, do you think that this group is good for right now? Do you think they take someone in the draft? Do you think they look to trade one of these guys? Where do you think we sit with all of this?
I mean, I think it's probably one of the strongest tight end groups in the league right now, but they're all in the last year of their contract, I believe. So it's kind of a scary proposition when you think of it. And I think the main question becomes, right, is it Likely or is it Andrews? Which direction are the Ravens going to go? Because that's ultimately, I think they'll be able to ink Kohler to a decent little contract, though there might be a team maybe that has a lot of money that might be willing to throw some out there at him because he has shown a propensity to be able to block and even catch the ball when it's thrown his way sometimes. But to me, I think you can keep Kohler around. So the question is, do you want the younger guy with the high upside and Likely, who hasn't quite proven the same amount, obviously, even when Andrews wasn't healthy and Likely was on the field, he did a nice job, but he didn't have Andrews' numbers necessarily, especially with the touchdown catches. And Andrews is the proven commodity. Now, obviously, he had some issues in the playoffs, but let's just look at the whole body of work from Mark Andrews. He's been a consistent player in this league and a top 5 tight end for the last 5-6 years. So you can't just dismiss that like it's nothing. And he's coming, what's he, age 30-ish, getting around the age of 30. But tight ends can play, 34, 35 years old in this league sometimes. I'm under the I might be an unpopular opinion here, but I'd rather keep Mark Andrews. I'm of the opinion that he's done it before. I trust him, whereas Isaiah Likely is more of an unknown, but he's also going to demand, I think, a higher upside contract, which kind of concerns me. Now, I don't think you're right, Jason. He's not going to be above Trey McBride or get the highest paid tight end in the league type money, but he's going to get paid if he, as a free agent going into next year. So the Ravens really have some decisions to make.
Well, when they gave Mark Andrews the contract extension a couple of years ago, that was a $100 million contract. That's not Isaiah Likely. And the good thing that the Ravens have going for him is that he's in a platoon situation, right? Like he can't be this guy that starts taking off that demands that $100 million contract because he's never been the lone tight end. So to me, what it really comes down to, I wonder, John, how much they take Lamar's opinion into this and what he wants to do, because obviously to me, they're both going to be I think they're both going to be on the team this year. I don't think you trade. They're going to trade Andrews. So to me, what does it come down to? Who does Lamar want? And so far, him and Andrews have made a lot of magic together.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. I think it's going to come down to a lot of, okay, Lamar, which guy do you like? And then it's going to come down to this season as well, is if they keep all 3 guys, which I don't see them. I mean, like Steve Bisciotti said a couple days ago in his interview with John Harbaugh, when they were asked, what are you looking for down the road? He goes, we're not looking down the road. We're looking for a Super Bowl this year. And if you're looking for a Super Bowl this year, there's no way in God's green earth that you get rid of either one of those 2 guys because they are both valuable. And, it's also going to depend a lot on this year of, okay, is Andrews healthy for the entire season, or is likely going to have to end up playing that number one tight end position? And then what does he do? How does he perform? And he's shown that he has the physical gifts, and he's a much more athletic player than Andrews is. But Andrews is an incredibly intelligent player. If you just watch his film, and when he, I'll compare him to a guy, like Travis Kelce with Pat Mahomes, where it just seems like he knows where to go, where Kelce knows where to go when Mahomes is scrambling and running around. Andrews seems to know exactly where to go, what Lamar is thinking, and that's very, very valuable. So I guess it just kind of come down to, in my opinion, who's healthy all year long, and then kind of what happens if they're not, and what happens in that case. But I agree. I think Andrews is the guy who needs to stay around, especially when they're playing into their mid-30s now.
Well, I think that's the thing. And I think that's the key. They're playing into their mid-30s now. So don't you want the young guy is what my thought is. So I'm going to be the one out of the three of us here that goes with likely, because I do think I don't know Mark Andrews' situation as far as a person, as far as where he wants to be. Obviously, Baltimore's his home now. It has been since he was drafted, but maybe he wants to. Maybe he wants to take a lower pay, like a pay cut, and they keep them both. We don't. But unfortunately, the Ravens have a lot of money going out here in the next couple of years, so the luxury of having two tight ends like that might not be an option. Then all of a sudden, like I was just thinking, maybe he wants to go to Tampa in a year and go play with Baker Mayfield, his college teammate, one of his best friends that he was in his wedding, and vice versa. So that's always a possibility. I would go with likely, depending on the price, depending on the situation. But the Ravens are very smart when they draft, and I have a feeling they might find another tight end somewhere in the draft. I remember, Mike, when they drafted likely, you said he was on he just slipped completely off my radar. I didn't even know who he was. You're like, watch this guy from Coastal Carolina, like this young guy. And then they undrafted him in like the fourth round. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So who's to say they won't get somebody else like that and then have to let Andrews go?
Yeah, I'll be curious to what the Ravens do. I think whatever happens, I don't know that they sign all three of those guys next year. So it'll be curious to see how they decide to proceed. I'd love to see them extend Andrews like now and just kind of spread that money out a little bit. Honestly, that would be my ideal world. My concern is that Andrews is somebody that defenses have to game plan for. Like, you have to game plan for Mark Andrews. And if Isaiah Likely takes over that number one tight end role, is he going to be that same guy that defenses have to game plan for? Because the big thing about Andrews is he's just a huge target. He's just a big target. He has a wide catch radius. He's physical at the point of attack. Like, he's just a little bit different. Whereas I see Likely's still a big fella, but he's kind of smaller. He's kind of svelte. He can get up there a little bit. He's got some athleticism, some springs, but he's not the same type of guy as Andrews. So I don't think I think Kohler has a more similar catch radius like Mark Andrews does, honestly, if you're looking at the players. But I think Likely and Andrews together really play well off of one another because they're not the same player. So I'd be curious if you slide Likely in for Andrews, if it does the same thing for this offense. That's kind of where I'm seeing as far as my argument's concerned. But Jason, I think more general managers would go with what you were saying right now, and obviously take the younger player who's going to be in the league longer with the value there. I just worry that it's not the same player.
It might not be, but it might be time to change up the way that they're doing things, But to your point, the one thing that Andrews over the last year and a half to 2 years really improved on that was extremely impressive was his blocking skills. And he's became somebody like early on in the season, like he wasn't involved in the offense because he was blocking, because they needed him to block. Likely's not going to be that guy. No matter how much they want it to be, I don't think he's going to be that guy. But if Andrews moves on, then my gut says they will sign Likely and Kohler. Kohler's your blocking tight end. They draft someone else, and then they have Likely. Something along those lines. John, did you have anything else to add?
No, not really. I was just looking up the stats for the three of them. Likely is 6'4", 247, 32-inch arms, 10-inch hands. Andrews 6'5", 250, 32 and a half, 9.5. Kohler is 6'6", 267, 34 and a half inch arms, 10-inch hands. So, they got to keep Kohler around, just to have that larger block. I mean, granted, how many teams have Pat Ricard in the backfield? But I think keeping a guy like Kohler around, he's not going to be as big of a hit on the cap. Plus, he showed very good athleticism last year, right? Remember, there was the game where he came up a little short, and then I don't think it was the next series or another series, he got a touchdown catch, and he made a funny comment. I don't remember what it was. I just remember it's kind of funny. But I think, if there's a way you could extend Andrews now with a, 3-4 year contract with a backloaded deal, because we know the cap's going to go up. That's going to be kind of what if we can do something, or even with Likely, if we can extend him for 5 years, back end the deal when the cap's going to be much larger. Maybe we can keep all three. I don't know. Eric always seems to find some way to keep the guys we want to keep and keep the team, together.
I mean, it's just, they do. If they want somebody, they find a way to keep them. My only thought is that you didn't keep Queen and Roquan. You chose one over the other. You went with Roquan, which was the right choice. So you don't need two of those linebackers that you're going to pay that much money. Do you need to also, you don't pay two guards a ton of money. Do you pay two tight ends a lot of money? And that's kind of where we are. So,
hey, let me throw a little scenario to you, Jason. Let's say that Tyler Warren from Penn State sitting there around 10 or 11, and you can trade Andrews and a pick and go up and get that guy. What's your thought on that?
No, you mean and get Warren in the first round? No, I don't see them ever taking a tight end within the first 20 picks of a draft. If something falls down like it did with when they took the year they took Lamar, they also took Hayden Hurst,
Yeah, South Carolina.
Hurst. So no,
he's a special player, right?
No, I don't do it. Nope,
no,
absolutely not. But if there's a lovely pass rusher sitting there, or a fantastic, the way this year's not for wide receiver, so I wouldn't do it. But pass rusher or a guard that you can't live without, I'd go up to get it. This is the year to move up in the draft. If you're going to do it and you have your sights on someone, go up. Don't they have like 75 picks? Like they have 11.
They have 11 draft picks, Jason. You have 11 draft picks, and you can't sign all of those guys. So use a few of them. What I think, though, is going to happen is they'll probably stay put at 27 in the first round, but you'll see them either second, third, fourth. They'll start packaging some of those later picks and start targeting guys that they want in those rounds. That's usually how they operate.
You know what they're going to do? They're going to trade those late round picks, and they're going to get more thirds and more fourths, and that's where they're going to make that's always where they make their hay there. They go in there and they get these guys from there. Like the year they took Likely, they have like 4 fourth round picks, and they got the Stout, and they had Likely. Offensive linemen, like they build for the trenches from there. I mean, it's not a bad theory to go on, but if there's a couple guards that they could go up and get if they want to. But if you listen to John Harbaugh, they love their offensive line. But what's he going to say? Is he going to say, no, those guys suck, we need to take someone else?
Well, here's the interesting thing that you mentioned. You mentioned Warren from Penn State, right? He finished as a finalist for the Paul Hornung Award. So he won the John Mackey Award as the nation's top tight end, second team All-American, Big Ten tight end of the year, first team All Big Ten. But he was a finalist for the Paul Hornung Award. That award is for the nation's most versatile player.
Yeah.
So to me, in reading this about him, it sounds like he's more of a replacement for Likely than he is a replacement for Andrews. Because Andrews is more of your prototypical tight end, where Likely is more of your kind of hybrid type, athletic wide receiver, tight end, big body type guy. I haven't watched enough film on this guy.
So I give this position group as it sits right now an A, and I'm borderline A plus, right? The only reason it's not an A plus is because Andrews is over 30 years old. I don't see them drafting a tight end high. I've never, even the year that they drafted the tight end high, the tight end was in the 3rd round with Mark Andrews.
Don't they usually drug test those guys so that they're not high when you draft them? I'm not sure.
Okay. You know what? We always seem to just go back to the dad jokes. All right.
Can't help it.
All right. So
you said it 3 times.
All right. So that will do it for our Ravens position group recap. Now, I think going forward, boys, we discussed we are going to probably start dipping our toes into the draft, maybe highlight some position groups and the draft and whatnot. But yeah, we'll give you guys some draft recaps here the next few weeks so that you'll be prepared to, get the pick wrong, just like we do every year. Who had Nate Wiggins last year? Wasn't me. Was it you?
Not me.
Right. And I think maybe us 3 will play a little draft pick'em game. See who gets the most right. I throw my $10 around that I'm about to win tomorrow night. So, okay. Are we ready for Blast from the Past? You guys?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
So if you are not familiar with our game, Blast from the Past, we do a little trivia game amongst the 3 of us where we try to guess a player that played for the Orioles that no one remembers. Might be a guy that had a huge impact on the O's, might not have. But I am awesome at this game. The other 2 are marginal at best. So
that's kind of you, Jason.
Just kidding. Who wants to go first?
No, Jason, we suck at this game. You are the master at this game. Mike and I just suck. Marginal is kind of like the Toronto Blue Jays. They're kind of a marginal team.
You guys are saying
we suck.
Get them all wrong tonight. Watch, you can go over 2.
I can go first, Jason. I think you'll get this guy pretty quick.
Every time you say that, I get him wrong.
Okay, so he was drafted by the Detroit Tigers, played for the Tigers, Marlins, Red Sox, O's, Yankees. At that time, it was the Indians, and then the Cardinals. He played 3 games in the minors before he made his major league debut with the Tigers. He was 55 and 55. He's a relief pitcher. 4.03 ERA, 979 strikeouts, 63 saves. His last MLB appearance was October 1st, 2021 for the Cardinals. He is a native of Gainesville, Florida. His uncle was a former NFL and USFL place kicker who played football at the University of Miami for the great Jimmy Johnson. He went to the University of North Carolina.
Okay, what year did he play for the Orioles?
What year did he play for the Orioles?
2014.
And he's a relief pitcher?
Yes, sir.
Okay, give me the teams one more time.
Tigers, Marlins, Red Sox, Orioles, Yankees, Indians,
Andrew
Cardinals. Miller. Yes.
What a great trade that was.
Greatest Oriole of all time. If they would have just signed him. God, Dan Duquette, you anger me so much. Oh.
See, I told you would get that one, Jason.
Yeah. Mike, do you want to go? You want me to go?
Sure,
Don't you
why not?
Facts, though, like his uncle's a place kicker in the NFL.
I had no idea. That didn't help.
I need to know what year he played for the Orioles. You were like holding that for like 25 minutes. All right, here we go. Drafted by the New York Yankees in the 6th round of the 1981 amateur draft. Traded by the New York Yankees in 1989 to the Padres for a player to be named later. He was signed as a free agent in 91, 92, and 93. He played all 3 of those years for the Minnesota Twins. Traded by the Twins to the Orioles in 93. He had a very short stint with the Orioles. And then he played with Texas in 95 and 96. Third baseman who won a World Series in 1991 with the Minnesota Twins.
I know who it is, but I'll let you finish. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Mike Pagliarulo.
That is him. Pags. Do you like research this stuff before you come on? You just look at all the names so you know all the stats, or what's the deal here?
I mean,
Someone check that guy's laptop. Is it open to a baseball reference page?
My favorite world. See, that one was easy though. My favorite World Series of all time was the 1991 World Series. I saw that game on like VHS, like how the baseball used to do like the 7-game series thing. Twins and Braves. That was an easy one. I actually was going to use Pagliarulo in the future here.
Hey, do you guys remember Stump the Schwab on ESPN?
Oh yeah.
This is like that. You know, this is
that
like
guy's good though. I can't.
he's
hang
dead.
with that.
He's not good anymore. He's dead.
He passed, but he was something else.
Oh, what was his name? Howard Schwab. Yeah, that was my favorite show. You can watch like replays on YouTube and stuff. It's so much fun. That would be a fun thing to do.
Yeah. Oh, it's funny. All right. So I got this feller for you guys. He's an outfielder. Played for 10 seasons with the A's, the Rockies, the Orioles, the Diamondbacks, and the Mariners, who play in Seattle, in case you're wondering. Okay. This guy, what's the best clues I can give you guys? 2005 with the Orioles. Okay, he had 109 home runs, stolen base wise. In 2007 with the Diamondbacks, he had 50 stolen bases. That year, he also hit 21 home runs, and he batted .286. He came to the Orioles as a trade deadline trade in 2005, the Leo Mazzoni led Orioles. Let's see, what other stuff can I give you?
Who are the teams again? Who drafted him?
The A's, the Rockies, then the Orioles, then the Diamondbacks, and he probably had his best season. He's most known like as an outfielder with the A's, left fielder for the A's, but his best seasons were in Arizona after he left the Orioles, of course.
I can picture this guy. He was hefty.
No, he wasn't.
No,
He's
not that guy.
Think surfer dude.
Matt Stairs, though.
No, he never.
No, Matt Stairs broke into the league, I think, in '96.
So
speaking of a guy like that,
this guy went on to work for, forgive me, it's either ESPN or MLB. I can't remember the two. Like I get the two mixed up, but he did do a bit once in a kayak in San Francisco with him and his dog in the kayak with a camera.
I remember that. Oh, shoot.
He was one of my favorite players for a very short period of time. But again, like his season in 2007, dude, whoo boy, like 50 stolen bases. Like and then he had, let's see, 25 stolen bases the year before. So he jumped 25 stolen bases in 1 year with the Diamondbacks.
HGH or something, man.
This makes you faster too.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, he was a solid defender, but again, he was on all those Oakland teams too, by the way. 2000, 2001, all the way through 2004. He was their left fielder.
I can see.
Can't picture him?
Yeah, I can picture him, but I can't match a name with. It wasn't like Jermaine.
What year did he play in Baltimore?
2005.
05.
You looking it up on your phone?
I think so.
Eyes forward.
Yeah, I got two screens here, man, and I'm not. My hands are right here. I'm not looking at anything. I don't know, man.
27 hits, 258 career batting average.
Was it Mark Kotze?
No, good guess. You guys, you give up?
Burns. Eric Burns.
Yay, Eric Burns.
Yeah. Oh,
Burns.
yes. Yes.
He did have the hair, though. I was thinking about the hair.
Oh,
That's why I
said
said Matt Stairs, but that was not even close.
Yeah, well done.
Yeah, Matt Stairs played right field because I was sitting in the right field bleachers and there was an injury and we were like I think in the first or second row and we were just chatting with him because it was an injury timeout or something and he was just chatting with us. He was a hefty fellow. Matt Stairs was.
I can't. I'm sad because I couldn't remember the baseball, but I could remember the baseball tonight, and I could remember the kayak, and all, that's how I remembered him. Like I don't remember him as a baseball player, like hardly at all.
Really? Dude,
He was really funny on Baseball Tonight, though. Like he was hilarious.
He reminds me of like a baseball player in like the 90s when a 258 average would like be like your top 6 hitter, you know? But
Right.
Nowadays, Eric Burns is, I mean, but he did, I mean, I was real excited when they traded for him, but it just didn't work out. He did not play well for the Orioles.
Well, the 2000s for the Orioles didn't work out well at all. So, we got.
I
those
didn't
guys.
realize he stole 50 bases. That's crazy.
Nah, dude, me neither. Till I saw it, I was like, this is crazy. All right, Mike, you want to wrap this thing up?
Let's put a bow on this bad boy, fellas. It's been a night. All right. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Dad Bod's Crab Cakes and Sports. Hanging out with us this evening. And don't forget to subscribe on Red Circle, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast. While you're at it, please leave us a review. It helps us out. We're trying to spread the good word about Baltimore sports far and wide. Be sure to follow us on social media for more behind-the-scenes action, bad memes, bad sports takes, bad jokes. You can find us at dadbods_crabcakes_sports on Instagram and at dadbods crab cakes and sports on our Facebook page. Have a question or topic you want us to cover? Hit us up at dadbodscrabcakesandsports@gmail.com. We might just shout you out in the next episode. Until next time, keep rocking those dad bods, eating those crab cakes, and never miss the game.
Sayonara.
Adios.